Hey guys, welcome into our weekend news wrap-up. The Realist has completed his essay, so he's back giving you news content. Today we're out in West London near Heathrow Airport. We're at Scion Park. It's a beautiful, beautiful, stately park with castles and grass. What else could you want? A few things we want to talk about today. The first one is this. We're still keeping an eye on that Syrian situation, particularly Aleppo. Really, really harsh battle there. It's pretty much been won by the Assad regime and his Iranian and Russian backers, and so now there's a process going on of evacuating the opposition, who are the rebels, you would say, getting the civilians out. There's been a lot of holdups. They said, yeah, they can get them out. Then there's been stalls. And they said, yeah, you can get them out. Then there's been stalls. And so there's a lot of human rights worries there. So keep an eye out on that situation. And crucially, we think that the Syrian civil war is not over here. It's just moving out to the countrysides. This civil war is so horrific. It's gonna go on for many, many years. So as tragic as it is, we have to look at that. Another thing we want to talk about today is history really, really matters in international affairs. To give you guys a really good example of this, Samantha Power, who is the U.S. America's UN ambassador, that is, she's the U.S.'s ambassador to the UN. She went into the UN Assembly and basically made a speech really harshly criticizing Iran, criticizing Russia, criticizing the Assad regime. And basically, she really had a lot of pointed words for Russia, saying, you know, have you no shame in what you're doing? You have no shame. You're abusing human rights. You're obliterating citizens. So it was a really impassioned speech, a really good speech. However, this is where history comes into play, because Russia's ambassador to the UN came back and said, hey, look, who do you think you are, Samantha Powers, in the United States of America, for telling us that we're doing something bad? You, in 2003, invaded a country in Iraq the international community thought was an illegitimate invasion. You unleashed sectarian civil war. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people died. You had torture, you had prisoner abuse, and you even had civilian casualties that were a result of that war, both from the American side and from the Iraqi government side. So who are you, America, to even tell us that we're doing something wrong? Now, that might not be a great argument, and Samantha Powers might be right in criticizing what Russia and Assad is doing, because what they're doing is horrific. But it's just a point of reference for you guys to understand that history is a very powerful tool in foreign policy, because what has happened is, in the international sphere, or at least for Russia and Iran, U.S. has lost some moral authority to be able to tell Russia, hey, you guys, you should have more shame. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because of the America's previous acts throughout history. And so it's a really important point. It's kind of a hard thing to argue with diplomatically. You know, Samantha Powers could say, hey, we made a mistake. It wasn't this current regime, but Russia can then, the back and forth continues, and it's a hard, sort of intractable point. But that's what I wanted to make you guys aware of today. History really matters in international relations. It matters today in the Middle East. It matters today with what China is doing in Asia and the other Asian countries around there. Everywhere you look, history really matters. And it's not like the West, where we're the only culture that says, well, that's just history, meaning that's just meaningless. That was in the past. It doesn't matter. For most of the world, history really, really matters. So just keep that in mind when you're seeing these big international events. History, context really matters. Well, that's it for today, guys. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. I'm going home. I hope you guys have a happy Christmas. And remember, reality, even in Christmas time, always trumps ideology.